The goal of this video is to provide guidance for leadership in community leagues. Developing programs that are ongoing from year to year is a great way for leaders to make a lasting contribution to the neighborhood while growing the neighborhood's capacity in areas like arts, health, sports, crafts, and other community connections. Music is one area where leagues have tremendous capacity in terms of performers, teachers, and instruments. How can music become the focus of programming to grow capacity, bring community members together, and strengthen the role of the league as a leader in community development? This is the question that this interview will explore. Today we're speaking with Dr. Tom Barker, a researcher at the University of Alberta who has been working with the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues on community music ecologies. Tom recently published research in the International Journal of Community Music, mapping musical performance opportunities across Edmonton's 163 community leagues. His work focuses on how community infrastructure can support music programming and build connections between neighbors.
How's that?
Pretty good. Well, thank you, Tom, for being here to talk to us about music ecologies in communities. So let's start with what does that mean, a music ecology?
Well, a music ecology, Melissa, is the concept that the elements that make up programming and that can bring people together in a community are already out there. And so you may say, well, there's a little bit of music art activity or a little bit of art activity. But if you look at the groups of people that you have out in your community, and then you look at the kinds of events that you put on, you'll see the opportunity to build programs out of that. So the ecological model builds on the existing assets that are in a community and develops those. So your capacity to have a programming that is ongoing and sustainable is really based on the people that you have out there already.
Can you help us visualize what this means?
Yes, I can. If you imagine concentric circles, in the center you've got your membership, and that's the people who might make up your community and your community league. Then that membership is going to form groups, and those groups are people with shared interests, like seniors or parents or teens or kids or quilters or gardeners, those groups that naturally form. The next circle out is events. And events seem to be one-off or random, and often they are, but they will attract various groups. The next circle out is programs. So if you have your groups and you work your groups with your events, then you have the opportunity for programs. And programs are the kinds of things that have a sustained leader, that are deeply embedded in the groups and events that people enjoy doing. They carry on, so they show up at the AGM, they become a program, they move to another place on the website, and they become programs, and they become something that a leader can sustain. So a key concept then is asset-based development. Asset-based development means that you look for the assets and you grow the assets that are a part of the raw material that you have in the league rather than bringing something else into the league.
So if I'm a leader in my community, and this sounds great, I
Yeah.
love the idea of it, how do I actually start?
Well, first thing you could do is, like if you were going to grow a music program, would be to scan for capacity. You would ask yourself, who plays music in our community? Who wishes they could play music or is involved in music in our community? And then you might find some informal conversations that people have where they talk about how they played a guitar in college or how their kids are taking piano lessons. And then these become your assets. They become your resources. So you connect these people together and bring them together maybe on a Saturday and say, let's come and talk about this musical interest that you have and let the shape of the event emerge from that.
Do you have examples of musical programs you've seen in communities?
Yes. One of them is I call lyrics and chords, and that's where poets get together with musicians. And it's a natural fit because if you write a poem, somebody wants to sing it, and if you have a guitar, you need words to go with your instrument. And so, lyrics and chords is a great kind of program to bring people together. Another one is music and kids. So parents are always looking to get together with other parents. And so if they bring their kids to a musical event, their kids can dance around and they can tell their war stories about being parents. So you're beginning to grow the program like that. Pretty soon, a teenager might get involved who likes to teach instruments to children or teach dance to children. Um, then there might be another community member who comes in. I teach music, or I'm a music therapist, and so they can get involved. And pretty soon the library is getting involved in things and says, "Why don't you bring your musical event to the library on Saturday mornings?" And so various members of the music ecology will begin to take notice of it, and it'll grow in that way.
So it's like the league is sort of the container that's bringing these people together and helping grow these ideas and these things that are existing in the neighborhood already.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea of the container because you want to let those activities take their natural course. And so the best leader is a hands-off leader. The best leader is the one who's a good facilitator and who provides the resources and who keeps track of things and keeps keeps the program going, and is able to let the program develop on its own rather than trying to push it into some model of an open mic or a pub night or some other kind of musical thing, but lets it evolve in on its own and let various people from those groups get involved in those events in ways that is it has intrinsic value for them.
Mm. It sounds like you don't actually need experts or, professional equipment to make these things happen.
Well, usually you don't. Usually you want the facilitation, you want the talent and the interest to come from the people who are part of it. A good facilitator, on the other hand, is a very important thing to have. You're not trying to uh, teach anybody anything or bring technical knowledge. You're trying to build community. And so, what you want to do, what the good leader wants to do in this situation is to kind of see that little community growing and saying, well, who else could be involved in it, or who else could have a part in it, and you can bring down the barriers to accessibility to that by saying, well, let's make it open to everyone, or let's try to bring some other groups in our community to take part in it. One interesting example is the neighborhood songbook, because a lot of neighborhoods they're full of people from a lot of different backgrounds, national backgrounds, religious backgrounds, and cultural backgrounds. And they all have songs, and they all have music, and so bringing them together, sharing that is a great way to build connections among the people in your community.
Mm. How do we make sure that this is sustainable, that it continues on as a long-standing program?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because that's what every leader wants to happen, is that something that I nurtured and started is still going. And I think what you want to do is you want to look at the characteristics of the thing that you've started, and one of them is it embedded in the community? It's embedded in the community, and the people are doing it because it's fun. Yeah, there's a chance that it'll go on. Another thing is that it's recurring. That it's not just a one-off event. A program, the hallmark of a program is that it's a program. It happens over and over again. Another thing you want to look for is uh, how can it be sustainable in the community league context? Does it show up at the AGM? Does it last from year to year? And then the final thing is to look at the event and say who is kind of the leadership team in the event itself. And if you have a shared leadership team, that's a good clue that what you've started or what you've found and what is growing in your community can sustain itself. Because if some heroic individual leaves, then somebody else, you got other heroes there too, and they'll want to do it. So those are the things I would look for.
And there will be processes and wisdom that they'll gain along the way. How do you make sure that that knowledge isn't lost if that heroic individual or that group of people leaves or isn't able to continue in some way?
Yeah. I think the role of the leader here is to be the person who writes it down, the person who says when are we going to have our next meeting. It's the person who can save those email or look back at those reply all email strands and see that it grew from this to this. A good leader will write a newsletter article about it and put it in the newsletter. A good leader will notice things that are changing and make new ways to open it up to other people, new ways to bring other groups in, new ways uh, to involve older and younger people, or this group and that group, and make it more accessible. So so those are the kinds of things I like to call it reflective practice, and I try to practice it myself. And that is just to write things down, to record things, to save things, um, and um, and to give yourself the pleasure and the opportunity to say, we started there, and now we're here. How is it different? How can I keep it going?
And it helps you reiterate the program and let it evolve over time too.
Yeah, yeah, because nobody else is going to see it from your perspective, and you bring that perspective to it. They're there because they like playing their instrument, or they like dancing, or they like watching their kids have a good time. They like singing their songs, and you're the one who really kind of sees it from the outside and can say, this is really good. Let's bring some more people in. Let's look for some professional or retail partners and sponsors of this activity. Let's look at where we can get more resources from our broader community and bring this in. And those are the kinds of things that are going to make it grow.
Mm. Yeah, I just love this idea of it being like an ecosystem that you're helping things in the community grow. And there's an example in my neighborhood actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I met somebody at our pub night a couple of weeks ago
yeah.
who was new to the neighborhood. I'd never met him before, and he has an interest in sound, doing sound for a
Oh
musical
yeah.
event. Yeah,
Wow.
so he wants to do an open mic or something like that. And I'm very excited about the prospect of this, but I don't want to fall into some of the traps that I think we fall into sometimes where I take over or I
Yeah.
don't, use these sustainability measures. So what should I do to help this grow into an ongoing program?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish I had an answer to that. What I would say would be, rather than say this is a great idea, let's make it happen again. You would say, what can I do to help you do this? I can provide a space for this if you'd like that. Or this is a great idea. Who else do you think might be interested in it? And let that person, grow it the way he wants or she wants to make it happen. So people will bring their talents and finding out what those talents are and saying, okay, I can help you do that. We can, make it open as possible to people. And so that's what I would do with this person. I would say, you know, what would that event look like? What would you like to do? And follow up there and be consistent about it. You've got to show up. You've got to be there with them. You can't say, You can't say, well, I'll let you do it any way you like. Let me know how it goes.
Do you have one last piece of wisdom or advice for leaders in communities for how to do this in their neighborhoods?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I wish I had advice, but I think what I would do is I would say an ecology, a music ecology in a community league, especially in Edmonton, where there's so much musical activity, so much artistic and creative activity anyway going on all the time, would be to not to try to build a program into it, but let nurture a program and let it grow out of what you naturally find in the neighborhood. I think that's your asset based, philosophy there, but it's a very natural thing to want to see that.
Well, thank you, Tom, for sharing your wisdom and inspiration with us today. And thank you to the folks out there that are watching this video. We have more resources on our website, and I hope this has given you some inspiration to bring more music to your communities.